Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. Folks, if you are new to the channel, this is a great video for you. If you've been in the survival and prepper community for years, stay for this video. It's important as well. Mostly because I'm going to be covering the basics that you probably know, but I'm also going to be going into this concern that a lot of people have given the global crisis that we're seeing on different fronts. Power shortages, prices of natural gas and oil going through the roof. We're talking about shortages in the future in terms of food as well, and price hikes, inflation. Things are looking very complicated. If you look at some of the more serious countries like Austria, they're telling people, folks, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This is going to be happening. They're preparing people for a couple of weeks without power, and that's just the beginning. You know, this is, I'm the least, dramatic person that you will likely find in the survival and prepper community. I'm not of the idea of the world's going to be ending. If you know me, and I've been doing this for a long time, I've always been of the mind of, the world is not ending, it's just getting complicated, and life just goes on. There's just challenges. I still hold that belief. I still think that this is not going to be the end of the world, but I will also say we're looking at one of the more challenging times I have memory of, and I've gone through some pretty crappy challenging times, right? Those are my books, Street Survival Skills and the Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse, based on my experience of the economic collapse of Argentina. So I've gone through one. I know what it is, and I know the consequences it has for decades down the road. So this is a time, guys, in which you just cannot afford to waste any more money, or even worse, waste any more time with bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit here in YouTube. There's a lot of crappy weekend warrior survival experts as well. Guys that are accountants or lawyers or God knows what else, and during the weekend they dress up and they start playing survivalists in the wood. You cannot afford to do that anymore. You need people that do this for a living, seriously. I've been doing this for a living for a very long time already. I spend a lot of time researching, learning, and my books are a way in which you're going to be reducing that learning curve a lot for years, and you're going to be saving thousands of dollars that otherwise would be wasted on crap that you probably don't even need. Okay, so get the books. I'll leave the links below. I'll leave the links for a bunch of stuff here from Amazon, from the affiliate program that helps the channel, and I'll focus on stuff that you actually need. So let's get to it with point number one. So we start with point number one, by far the most important one, and by far one of the least, ironically enough, one of the least talked about topics in survival and preparedness, which is your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This is huge. This is why I'm here in the room. I have, good bed. This is the best investment you could possibly have for life in general. Have a nice bed. Not just a nice bed, the best bed you could possibly afford. Not talking about a square of crappy, stinky foam, but something good, something quality. These are independently pocketed spring steels, natural materials, wool, cotton, even horsehair. When there's a lot of humidity in the air, you actually smell a little bit of that horsehair, no problem. I love that thing by now, and you sleep like a damn king in this bed. It is great. Also, the sheets, 400 to 600 thread, that's kind of like the sweet spot, but sleep as well as you can. Right? I've slept in crappy beds, in crappy conditions, and I've slept in excellent ones. The difference is huge. You're gonna be recovering physically a lot better, and sleeping the minimum amount of time you should be sleeping. Make sure you do get your sleep. You're gonna be recovering physically after working out, after being tired. You're gonna be unwinding mentally. You're gonna be getting rid of a lot of that stress that kills so much people. This silent killer, right? So this is huge. Maybe the best money spent not only in survival and preparedness, but in quality of life in general. Even your room, try to have it, like something that's comfortable, that's relaxing. There's a lot to be said about this, colors and how you set things up. Even where you live, you like living in the forest, in the mountain, by the sea, wherever it is, or even in the middle of the city, if that's your thing. But try to be in a place that you're comfortable in, that you're enjoying not only life, but you're enjoying your rest as well. Also, the scale over there, physical preparation, this is huge. And even, keep in mind the aspect of food. Are you eating healthy? Fortunately for me, my wife, cooks most of our meals. There's very little processed around here, so we eat very healthy. That is very important, combined with the actual quality rest. Eating healthy, huge. And also be honest with yourself in terms of that gadget over there. I'll leave the link for that because that's very good. It has those middle things that tells you how much muscle mass you have, how much body fat you have, and even bone density, I believe. So it's quite complete, and it's about being honest. I'm not talking about being a damn athlete here. I'm just talking about being healthy. Right? If you're fat, try to lose weight, work out more. Most of all, eat healthy, eat less maybe. That's going to be not only improving your survival and preparedness, it's going to be improving your quality of life in general. It's going to be avoiding most of the diseases that end up ruining people's lives and even costing them their lives as well. All right? Quality of life, avoiding the most common causes of death. There's no point in worrying about zombies when your body is going to be killing you because of the poor diet and the kind of lifestyle that you have, right? Work out more if you have to work out more. Eat less if you need to eat less. Lose that body fat. Be physically capable. Avoid some of the most of these common diseases and be physically ready so as to walk, so as to run, so as to carry a backpack if you have. I mean, you have your bug out bag. How long can you walk with that thing, with that weight? How many miles? Never tested it? Okay. Be honest with yourself. Do it. See what you can do or what you cannot do. Being physically strong as well is also important in many different disasters and emergencies you may encounter. If you take care of the physical, mental, and emotional aspect, you have, I'm going to be saying 90% of this thing taken care of. And point number 2, everyone's favorites, guns. Of course, you do need guns. These are definitely a priority. That's why this is point number 2. Look, there's a bunch of different things that you can just run at the last minute with enough money, buy more stuff. Guns are not it. Guns are the thing that either you have it when you need it or you're done, right? And it may be your life in the line or the life of your loved ones, your well-being. And I know that most of you guys watching this from the United States have this covered, or you think you have it covered. Let me tell you a couple things. If you're watching this from the United States and you have a few guns, I also know that there's a very good chance that most of you guys watching this from the United States don't actually have firearms training so as to use this for self-defense. Unless you actually got a firearms instructor, a qualified instructor, teaching you and training you on how to fight with a gun, you don't have it. You just think you have it because you took a few shots in the range. Target shooting is not fighting with a gun. Those are different things. If you didn't do it, if you didn't take that training, you simply don't have it, and you're just counting on rising to the occasion when the moment comes. You're counting on basically getting lucky. You may well get lucky at that moment. Sometimes people are lucky that way, but counting on that when it's your life and the life of your family on the line, I would really not recommend that. Also, another thing I want to say, even if you have the guns, keep in mind point number 1. If you are an extremely poor physical condition, morbidly obese, you have health problems, you have some more important stuff like the one I was talking about in point number 1, that should be your main priority. Don't buy even more guns and focus on stuff that's really not going to be making that much of a difference. If you are a lot likely to die before your time because of how poor physical condition you are, make that your priority. Not buying yet another gun that you don't actually need, and maybe you're not fit enough so as to actually learn how to fight properly with it. Okay, so sort your priorities out. Guns are important. I'm absolutely certain about it, and you know what? The window of opportunity to buy these things is closing. Now, for folks in other parts of the world, you may not have a gun. You may not even know that it's perfectly legal for you to buy a firearm. For you folks in UK, you can perfectly go and get yourself a semi-automatic shotgun. Yeah, of course, an AR semi-automatic or a Glock, it's probably not within your means, but a semi-automatic shotgun, I think it's 22, 24-inch barrels, it's really not that much of a big deal. Get yourself, if you live in UK or some other very restrictive part of the world, get yourself at least a semi-automatic shotgun. It's better than a pump action. Run it, check it, make sure it works properly, and that's gonna be a lot better than being unarmed when it matters. You guys don't know. you folks in the United States, you folks in Europe and developed countries, you have no idea what people are capable of when they become desperate, when they have the opportunity of showing their more brutal, savage side. They become animals. Several days without power, you're going to be seeing crazy things. You folks in the United States are already seeing, because of the polarized society right now, how bad it got in these last couple of years. You're seeing a lot more violence. For you folks, you probably want to get yourself your concealed carry license right away, before it's too late, before that's banned by some Democrats somewhere. Get yourself your firearms while you still can, and understand that when this goes down, believe me, people are animals. Don't wait until they're starting kicking down doors, raping, murdering, and pillaging and looting. Just do this before it's too late, okay? You still have the opportunity, go and do it right now. Everything else you can probably just go and buy later on, and so on. But this, unless you get it right now, you're out of luck. Also, if you're in one of these restrictive countries, you may be able to buy the gun, but you may not have access to the actual training, so as to learn how to use a gun for fighting. Street Survival Skills, my book, I do cover that in a few chapters. No, it's nowhere near as good as getting proper firearms training from a live instructor. Of course not, but it's a lot better than not having anything at all. So you have your shotgun, you have whatever gun you could possibly get your hands on, and if you couldn't get a firearms instructor, get Street Survival Skills. There's chapters dedicated on using guns for fighting, based on what I learned in different classes from different fantastic instructors over the years. So it is going to be something that if you put your mind to it, a little bit of dedication, you're going to be a lot better prepared for this kind of anarchy that may end up happening in a not so distant future. So we talked about guns, we talked about your physical well-being, staying in shape, staying healthy most of all. That is the idea with proper eating, working out, the idea of being healthy most of all, and avoiding the diseases that happen end of the world or not, right? Now, we're talking about the supplies and gear that you want to acquire so as to be ready for what's coming. And here is where you can spend a ton of money, man. You can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on stuff that is extremely unlikely to be needed at times, so it's a waste of money that could be placed on more valuable resources, like having actual savings. Having the actual physical cash is probably one of your best, most useful tools. So before you start going on a spending spree, keep in mind that cash is going to be, especially in these times where inflation is going to be impacting people a lot, people are going to be dropping from middle class to poor, or from poor to even worse. Having enough savings is huge. This is the point in where you just don't want to waste money. Having said that, there are things you still want to acquire. A gun, if you don't have it, yes, of course, that's point number 2, right? It's the kind of thing that when it comes down to it, your life is on the line. You're either going to be making it or not if you made that decision ahead of time. That's why I'm so adamant about it. Now, when it comes to everything else, what is it that you should be focusing on? Should I buy 10,000 different types of tents, sleeping bags, so as to, bug out to the woods? No, that's stupid, and really that's not how it works. That's how none of this works. It just makes no sense. All of this nonsense that you see on YouTube about you going camping or bushcrafting, when you're talking about realistic preparedness when things go wrong. The thing you definitely want to have is food and water. You're just not going to be living without those. End of the world or not, tough times or not, you need food and water. And this is going to be a big priority for you. You have to stock up, not just on any crap, but the actual stuff you actually eat, right? There's some exceptions for that. For example, these energy 5 rations, these are quite nice, most of all because they last for 25 years each. So I have a box of these, I keep it in different kits. This is really not a bad thing to have. It's not super tasty or anything like that, but this is definitely a ration that you may want to keep, especially for all those different kits that you have. But the core of your food supply has to be stuff that you actually use on your daily basis. You're going to be looking specifically at staples such as your dried pasta, rice, beans, but you need to start eating these. If you buy something else to eat and simply stock up on this and just throw it away, you're not only wasting food, but you're not having your family used to using the supplies you have in place for these sort of events, right? It's not just about a specific event. prices of food rising as well. You want to have as much as you possibly can. If you have a couple years, I know this guy from Venezuela, he had 2 years worth of food. He went through those 2 years and it was still not enough. So you just cannot stock up enough food for this sort of thing. What kind of food? As I'm saying, dry pasta, rice, beans, properly sealed, vacuum sealed. Food savers are great for this sort of thing. They have a pretty long shelf life already. Also get enough cans with vegetables, fruits, and protein. You know, this little can of tuna, this is the kind of thing that's worth a lot when things go nuts. You know, look at Venezuela right now. A can of tuna, it's only for like $1 each. This, when you're looking at, you know, SHTF currencies, this is it. You know, everything else is more of a question. Even ammo, you know, ammo so often considered like the currency of the end of the world. I'm really not that sold on it because it can be tampered with, and you know what? It can be made illegal as well. Keep in mind that in the United States, they made gold illegal. You think they're not going to be making ammo illegal as well? Food, you cannot make it illegal because people need that to survive. You know, it's not possible to make food illegal in any sort of society. It's never been that way. I always go back to historic events and accounts so as to consider if something is likely to happen or not. Ammunition, it's pretty much controlled in one way or another, basically all over the world. Food, yeah, not so much. I don't remember last time where they banned food, really. If you know of such a case, let me know. Food has been confiscated, that is true, in some of the different famines in which they ended populations in different genocides. They took food away from people, but it's a lot more difficult than, say, banning gold, which is something that has happened in the United States. So, food, a priority. Water, means of making water safe to drink. You want to have your filters, you want to have water purification tablets, most of all a good filter, and even more important, a safe source of water. That is not really all that easy to get, but if you have it, that's a huge asset. A well that has quality water, that's going to be huge. And if you don't have a well, for whatever reason you don't have a well, keep this in mind and have a good supply of water stored already. Bottled water, not just a container that's to fill later on, but actual water stocked already just in case. A good supply of that is gonna be huge if there's no power, if the grid goes down and pumps stop working. You will not wanna be the guy fighting your neighbors over a bottle of water. You wanna be the guy that has water already in place and you kept your mouth shut, you told no one about that, and you still have that water for you and your family. Food, water, those are your main priorities by far in terms of these supplies, okay? Medical supplies, so as to care for wounds, injuries, of course. That is also is something you probably have already, and if not, get to it. Get ready for that. In terms of power, electricity, gadgets, and this sort of thing, we're seeing right now that there's a good chance that if prices keep going up, if there's problems with the supply, you may see problems with gasoline. You know, have a serious amount of fuel for your vehicle already stored in place. My advice is buy metal jerry cans, the ones that have been proven over the years to be the more reliable ones. The idea is, at minimum, you want to have enough so as to get yourselves to whatever potential bug out location you have. And I'm not talking about going to the nearest national park and living off the land. I'm talking about if something goes wrong wherever you are, you have some other place, house from a friend, family, someone you can trust, so as to get yourself from point A to point B when A is no longer viable. This is stuff I covered in Bugging Out and Relocating, a book that I wrote dedicated specifically to this sort of thing. But that's the minimum amount of fuel you want to have in hand. Now, in terms of generating electricity, power, there's different alternatives. You can have your traditional generator, which has been a classic over the years for different disasters. I like these things. I still have to do a proper review of it. No, this was not sent to me. I bought it with my own money, and I'm still trying it out. I think it's a good idea. There's different brands of these. This is the EcoFlow one. I leave links for the ones that are best rated in Amazon, the ones that have the better reviews. But these would be like your solar generators. It's not really a solar generator. It's more of like a big battery pack with an inverter. And some of these things are quite amazing. They can run some large appliances. And if you get a solar panel for it, you can recharge it time and time and again, and you're not wasting money on fuel. You're just using a solar panel. And not only that, this is also silent. It doesn't make noise. People got killed over generators in past disasters. This happened not that long ago in Puerto Rico with the power outages. People would kill their neighbors over the generator. So the noise signal that this is not emitting, that is going to be a huge asset. You're going to be having this sort of thing so as to charge your appliances. Even a solar panel like that, a little solar panel, this is like 28 watts. This is enough so as to charge cell phones, most of these battery packs. You don't have to buy, this is kind of expensive. You could just get something like this. Of course, it's not going to be as good, but a little solar panel, battery pack, you're not going to be using this all day long and charging, everything in your house, but you'll have a small solar panel with a little battery pack, and this is going to be enough so as to somewhat run your cell phones, check if there's any signal, if you can communicate, charge your flashlights, even charge your batteries for your radios, stuff like this, little radios. They don't have to be a Baofeng. It can be like a FRS, family radio service, family FSR. Well, either way, the little radios that are good enough, and they're super simple. If the grid goes down and there's no phones, this is going to be allowing you to communicate at X amount of miles. X amount, because it can be actually quite a distance if you do things properly and you know how to use these things. This is where I insist. Knowledge is always key. It's always more important than buying more crap. If you have this and you know how to use it, you can communicate with someone miles and miles away. Something that a guy that bought his Baofeng and has no idea how to use this properly, and by this I mean getting yourself on higher ground so as you have a better shot at connecting with someone else. That is going to be more important than the terminal you're using. Baofengs are fantastic. You have a ton of uses, and yes, you're going to be requiring a license, but during emergencies, no license required. So you can buy these already, keep them in store, and use them without transmitting yourself, but use it in an emergency. You can transmit and receive during emergencies without any kind of license. But these ones, don't underestimate these ones. These are quite good as well. And for the rest of the stuff, have your supplies sorted out. Most of all, guys, buy the basics that I'm just explaining right now, then save money. Save a lot of money just in case you need it for other things that you cannot possibly imagine right now. That's the way in which this goes down. People just have no idea what's going to be happening later on, and it's usually things that, oh man, I could never have guessed that would be an issue. And the thing you need, money. You need that cash. You need that precious metal, gold, silver, whatever is not destroyed by inflation. Videos dedicated to that as well in the channel. Having enough cash for that first stage, and then precious metals for when things get even worse and that money starts losing value rapidly. The rest of the supplies, your bug out bags, your go bags, whatever you call these, the kits that you have in your house, medical stuff, also supplies in case of events where there's collapsed structures, there's buildings that are burning, falling, flooded, or whatever's going on. You want to have your work gloves, you want to have a mask so as to keep your lungs free from dust, debris, ash, or whatever is going on, and some basic tools so as to move stuff around. Maybe it's a crowbar, maybe it's a hatchet, maybe it's not a hatchet, an axe, shovels, tools to actually do stuff when it's needed. Folks, this is just a basic, but it's covering some of the more essential things that you want to sort out. You want to get this stuff ready for what's coming. It's going to be more or less complicated depending on how bad things get, but we've been warned, we've been told by, I look at the Austrian government, and when they say get ready, I listen. Those folks are not stupid, and when they say something, they mean it. And other countries have similar recommendations. Even the Swedish have been preparing people and sending information to every single citizen so as to get ready for a potential war. These are things that are on the horizon, and doing this stuff that I just explained right now, it's not going to be destroying anyone's budget. Yes, a lot of these things are not exactly cheap, but these are realistic things that can be very useful for this for the potential future we're watching. Guys, it's gonna be all for now. See you on our next video. Take care.